Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Chartreuse Leprechaun. My name is Mark, your host, and we just finished another full month of Leprechaun stories. That's 2 in a row. Yes, I think we can safely say things are finally back to normal around here. Yes, the Leprechaun has been busy trying to mess things up, but we've been pretty successful at overcoming his antics lately, obviously. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and set yourself up for notifications, all that fun stuff so you don't miss anything around here. And today, as usual, we have technical updates and we have some health news. But before we get started, I want to let you know we are making some schedule changes for the holidays. Christmas and New Year's are on Saturday this year, which obviously means Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are on Fridays. Now, wait a minute. I did that backwards. Christmas and New Year's Eve are on Saturdays. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are on Fridays. Those days, well, we believe those days should be spent with family and friends. With the pandemic still going on and isolation and separation still being a big thing, spending time with people and not alone is vital. It's much more important than spending time on YouTube. So, because we want you to spend time with people and not just be distracted by the internet, we're changing things up for those 2 weekends. The Friday series will be posted on Thursday, December 23rd and December 30. The Random Game Saturday videos will be posted on Sunday, that's December 26th and January 2nd, all respectively. And after that, things are back to normal. Series videos on Mondays and Fridays, Leprechaun story teaser video on Wednesday, and a totally random game on Saturday. Now, with that out of the way, we have some things to catch up on. And we're going to start with channel news and tech stuff just because, well, there's actually a lot of stuff to touch on. Let's start with computer temps. This is someplace the Leprechaun just won't stop messing things up. I mentioned last time that by removing the side panels, we caused the temperatures to drop by 3 to 4 C. I know 3 to 4 C drop doesn't sound like much. Trust me, it is. Nothing else I've tried has managed to lower the temperatures. Nothing. But even with that, our CPU temperatures are rising again during rendering. When we repasted the cooler a couple of months ago, CPU temps were, I call it 70 C during rendering. It was wonderful. Vast improvement over the 100 C and shutdowns we were experiencing prior to the repaste. Yeah, unfortunately, now they're reaching the 80s during rendering, and that means performance throttling, and that's not good. So all that actually reveals 2 things, which we needed to know. First, temp improvements after removing the side panels. Well, that tells us the case we have is terrible for airflow. And that's sad because other than airflow problems, this case has everything we want. Positive air pressure, room for extra fans on the side and the top. It holds 3 hard drives, 2 solid state drives, 2 optical drives. It's roomy as all get out. But the fact is, none of that matters if the airflow is crap. And bad airflow means we need to look for a better case. Confession time. That was actually my first ever computer build. One of the things I did not know, airflow matters for case selection. Now, all that said, I'm going to try adding more fans on the side and the top just to see what happens. It's a cheap investment and it's a learning opportunity. I get to do something I haven't done before. But it also means putting the side panels back on, and I don't know if that's going to help or not with the extra fans. So here's hoping, and I'll keep you posted. The second thing this confirmed is we absolutely must get a better CPU cooler. I actually can't complain too badly about what we have. I mean, sure, the stock AMD cooler is clearly struggling, but at the same time, it's still keeping temperatures in a decent range, except during rendering and in a few games. But with temps rising that steadily, it's only a matter of time before the CPU hits that temperature throttling and shutdown point again. One more confession. One part of my noobishness, I didn't understand cooler effectiveness either. Yeah, now I know case size matters, airflow matters, power use matters. Why does everything have to matter so much? Now, one of my sons heard me griping about cooling and has already told me I'm getting a CPU cooler for Christmas. No idea what cooler. Needless to say, I'm excited. Pretty sure we're going to need one for the other computer we just built. So suggestions for cases with good airflow and your cooler recommendations are very definitely wanted and welcome. On the bright side, the CPU is not struggling with rendering since we got rid of that bad external storage drive. I can't believe how much of a difference that made. Scratch that. What I actually can't believe is it took so long to figure out what the actual problem was. And frankly, it was by accident that I figured it out. Okay, a little background. I used a 2 terabyte desktop storage drive for my current series, and I used a 2 terabyte internal drive for storing files from completed series. Yeah, I know, it's backwards. The plan was to reverse those eventually. I just never got around to it. And then one day I was copying files from my current game episodes to my long-term storage, from the desktop to the internal. And, well, you know how Windows puts up that little window that shows transfer progress? Well, it also shows the transfer rate. And I watched those numbers fluctuate massively, sometimes going all the way to 0 and the file transfer just canceling out. And that's when I realized where a clicking sound was coming from. The one I said I thought was the ceiling fan a few episodes back? Yeah, no, not the ceiling fan. It was that 2 terabyte desktop hard drive, a Seagate thing from 2010, which kind of like that HP Z400, the beast from 2009. I'm amazed at how long this hard drive lasted. Fortunately, one of my sons gave me a portable hard drive he wasn't using anymore, and I spent a full day reorganizing my storage. Now, the portable is my long-term storage, and the internal drive is the current game storage, the way it should be. And best of all, the transfer rate is absolutely stable. It's awesome. But I still need to know something about file storage. How long should I keep those old game video files? I know some people keep them. They end up with stacks of hard drives full of those files, and some people don't. Anyone have suggestions or reasons for one way or the other? Leave me a note in the comments, please, and thank you. Now, in game and video news, we are finishing Fallout 4, at least for now, this week. Yeah, we're finishing it this week, finishing at least for now. I think I said that right. Yeah, it took 48 weeks, but we finally reached the end. We may go back to it someday. There's DLCs, there's other endings, there's showing off mods, but we're pretty much done for now. And that means it's time to pick a new game to play. Now, I don't normally give away what games we'll be playing, but this month, I'm sort of making an exception. One of my sons bought me a copy of Death Stranding, which I confess I've wanted for a while, and I haven't even attempted to play it yet. A few days later, I bought myself a copy of Dismantle. The description just appealed to the deep need in my soul to destroy stuff. It just did. And then there's other stuff I have in the inventory. I've wanted to get back to Mr. Prepper for a while. I haven't played that since it was in beta. And I'm anxious to see all the updates, changes, improvements. And I also want to revisit Hardspace Shipbreaker. Even though it's still in early access, there have been a lot of updates this year, and I'm anxious to see how the game plays now. And there's still content for this war of mine that we haven't done. And, well, there's lots of other stuff available too. So, all of those are possibilities. However, I am not going to tell you which one will come first. If you want to know how that happens, what game is up next, you will just have to stay tuned to the channel. No spoilers on those plans today, though. To be fair, I did say it was sort of an exception about game news. And no, not sorry. Now, about game videos, specifically editing those videos, my goal is we move toward the 2nd anniversary of the channel. Yeah, that's actually this April, 23rd, I think. I think that's right. Side note, we will probably do a live stream that day, just like we did last year. No idea what yet, but we will probably make that an annual tradition. Anyway, the main goal of all our editing now is to improve our videos by getting better at editing. I try to focus on the story, so I don't cut out a lot of movement scenes, and I also tend to get quiet as I'm moving around in the game, so there are lots of pauses in the video, and yeah, I know those are bad things, or can be bad things. So editing will be the focus for the next few months leading up to our anniversary. I've already tried Already? Yeah, already tried some new stuff in the last couple of Leprechaun teasers. The secondary goal is to improve voiceover content. Get rid of the ums and the long pauses, or at least get better at not having them in the first place. Yeah, I expect to make some solid improvements in both areas over the next few months, so feel free to comment on where you think I can improve things. Please and thank you. Your feedback really is appreciated. Also, speaking of live streams, this Saturday, the day following the Fallout 4 end, we will be skipping our normal Random Game Saturday video, and instead we will do a special live stream for an hour or so, depending on how long my hands last, of the game that will be our new Friday series. So check in on that. Okay, now for the health news. First, the not so good news. I did something stupid a couple of weeks ago. I was out walking one night, bad street lighting and all that, stepped over a curb, misjudged the height of the curb, took a tumble, and messed up my thumb. The good news is nothing is broken. The bad news is nothing is broken. So soft tissue injuries are the worst. There's nothing that really stops you doing things that aggravate it, which means you do a lot of things that aggravate it. So all our game plans are a little on the tentative side. I mean, let's face it, a sprained thumb working a controller joystick, not the best of combinations. But so far, we've been managing, so here's hoping. Meanwhile, the lung study is still in the works. Unfortunately, I can't get the results of all the stuff until everything is completed. It's the way my doctor does stuff. And we had some problems getting some tests scheduled. So until my doctor gets all the results, we just don't know much. And speaking of doctors and not being able to meet up with them, the neuromuscular guy that I was hoping to see in December, I can't see till mid-January. So I don't know what's going on with that yet either. I did meet with my headache neurologist, and the sad fact is none of the migraine meds seem to help with any of the migraine stuff anymore. Anti-inflammatory drugs seem to help, though. Personally, I think that means the problem is not migraines, which I also think further indicates the original problem actually was a stroke. My doctor doesn't think it was a stroke, by the way, so needless to say, she still believes these are all migraines and is convinced the neurologic problems I've been having are COVID-related, even though those symptoms predate COVID and are just worse since COVID. All that said, no determination on disability. No doctor has decided to certify or not certify, so it's all still in limbo for now. But there is some good news. Hopefully you've noticed I am not on oxygen. It's still a little questionable if I should be or not. Getting deep breaths is still a problem, and there are times the blood oxygen levels are in the 80s, but I can stay at or above 94% a lot of the time, and that's what they want, 94% or higher. Exercise is still an issue. I still use it to combat the sleep apnea. I sleep with roughly 1 liter of oxygen airflow at night. It seems to help. In other news, we've gone through a few blood oxygen monitors around here, and frankly, there's a lot of different ones out there that do different things, and I did not know all of that. We have one that is just does the one-time check. You go to your doctor's office, they stick the thing on your finger, and they say it's whatever the number is, and that's the number. But it doesn't help you know what ongoing blood oxygen issues may be in play. So we got one that would monitor blood oxygen and pulse and record to your phone via Bluetooth. It even did a graph. And this is how we found out what's happening while I sleep. But the first problem with that is the data is not exportable from your phone without buying a much more expensive one of their units, which you don't actually find out until you get this one. The second problem is the app must maintain a constant Bluetooth connection. If it's interrupted, the recording stops, it doesn't restart, and there's no way to recover the data. Turns out it's because the app that works with that whole family of devices, it's total crap for maintaining connection via Bluetooth. Needless to say, it got returned for
And then
refund.
We got a different blood oxygen monitor.
This one records up to 40 hours of data, and you can download it to your phone later. No connection issues, no ongoing connection issues like the other one. You can even email the data as a CSV file, which is kind of cool. It's so much better than the previous one. The downside to this one is that it records the data every second. So that file you can email around, well, it can get pretty big depending on how long you record. The second problem is you have to stop recording to sync your phone and download the data. Not a big problem, just kind of a nuisance, but anyway. And then I thought I lost it somewhere. So we got another one. And then I thought I lost that one too. But I found it. So now, for the caveats and disclaimers, there is nothing wrong with having an oximeter, blood oxygen monitor, oximeter, that's what they're called. There's nothing wrong with having one around your house. There is everything wrong with you thinking I'm giving you medical advice about how to use one. It is a tool that gives information. Work with your doctor to determine the value and the use of the information it gives you. It's not a sleep study and can't replace one. It's also not a hospital-grade monitor for ongoing blood oxygen level monitoring, but even with those caveats, it's a useful tool. It lets us see what kind of oxygen issues I'm having during various types of activity, walking, resting, around the house, shopping, and so on. And that lets me have knowledgeable discussion with the doctors so we can figure out a treatment plan. That's the value of these devices. And let me tell you, having knowledge to work with, that's a wonderful thing. Yes, it is. Far too much of the time I haven't had it. Feels pretty good. Well, I want to close out by taking a minute or two to just sit back, relax with a cup of coffee, and enjoy some morning sunshine. I obviously did a lot of editing for this video, and not all the edits I wanted to. Oh, Lord. Honestly, it killed me. My brain is semi-fried. Hazards of strokes and migraines, I guess. It's a big part of why I haven't done a lot of edits in the personal videos. It just takes a lot out of me. But we can still make better edits in the game videos. That shouldn't be that much of a problem. But that's what we're going to be focusing on for the next, I don't know, 3 to 4 months, I suppose. Well, till April, the anniversary, so about 4 months. Concentration may become an issue, migraine, strokes, but I'm still going for it. No big spiritual note this week. I will simply say that Jesus is real. He is God. And he loves you enough that he came to earth to die in your place and pay the penalty for your sin. He wants you to spend eternity with him. But where you spend eternity is still your choice. Spending eternity with him requires being born again. So repent of your sin, declare Jesus as Lord and authority over your life, and you will be born again. Anyway, that is enough for now. The big victory this month is I'm mostly off the oxygen. Yay! Off the oxygen. We also identified some technical problems with temperatures, equipment. Hopefully the cooler my son picked out is going to meet all of our needs and do all the stuff. Yeah. And remember, suggestions on coolers and cases and games are absolutely welcome. Please leave yours in the comments below. Thank you. But as always, I want to thank you for spending your time with us here today at the Chartreuse Leprechaun. We really do appreciate it. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, and of course leave us your suggestions that, anything you may have that can help us get better, because we want to get better and we'd like your feedback to help us do it. And if you'd like to support us, then, check out our merch and Patreon pages linked in the description below, along with Twitter and Facebook. All of those are a work in progress. 2 years into this, and we're still trying to figure out the whole YouTube thing and all that goes with it. And also hit that like button, subscribe, set yourself up for notifications, all that fun stuff so you don't miss anything around here. Because the Chartreuse Leprechaun is always trying to mess it up. So let that be a warning to you. Keep your eyes open. And always, 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 if you see it and you can't quite explain it, you can be sure the Leprechaun did it. Now you have yourselves a great day, a great week. Actually, no, have yourselves a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we will see you here next time on the Chartreuse Leprechaun. Bye-bye.